conflict. But we move on now, and the prayers come just days after the spiritual leader confirmed that the 600-year-old Tibetan Buddhist institution will continue after the Dalai Lama's death. As incarnations rang out, devotees gathered in front of images of the Dalai Lama, reflecting on both his remarkable life and the future of Tibetan Buddhism. His milestone birthday has reignited discussions about the succession of the Dalai Lama and the preservation of this ancient tradition, a spiritual pillar for millions worldwide. Well, joining us to discuss the significance of this moment, Dr. Satoru Nagao, a fellow at the Hudson Institute, joining us from Tokyo, Japan. Dr. Nagao, as always, thank you very much for being here. Let's first look at the significance of this milestone, the 90th birthday of the Dalai Lama, of course, in the wake of his announcement that he will be reincarnated after his death, and that it will be his institution that decide that person. But let's first look at the significance of today for Tibetan Buddhists in the region and wider world.
Thank you very much for asking. This is very important because China is afraid the influence of Dalai Lama. This is the influence related to the identity as a Tibetan. So that's why China worry the situation, the Tibetan will seek the independence from China. So China try to divide the Tibetan in China occupied area and outside. So that's why China tried to set up the new Dalai Lama under their rule. So this is another Dalai Lama. So two Dalai Lama in the future we will see. And in this case, who will be the more influential is the matter. But the selection process, traditional selection process has the legitimacy. That's why most people, most Tibetans believe the real Dalai Lama is Dalai Lama, incarnation from the current Dalai Lama. So that's why China's government's Dalai Lama cannot get enough supporters. So that in this case, there's no problem for the Tibetan side. But a little bit concerning point is current Dalai Lama has influence because of his experience too. Not only the legitimacy, but also the experience back him. Because he was a political leader of the Tibetan region. Of course, China occupied, and he needs to stay in India, Dharamshala, as the exile government. So, but because of this, he has a political skill. But next Dalai Lama lacks experience. So that's why the next Dalai Lama rely on the Tibetan government, exile government in India, as a political power. And of course, the religious leader, next Dalai Lama is very influential, but at the same time, the political skill rely on the exile government, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And Dr. Nagao, the significance of China here, their reaction was clear. They say that they want to approve the next Dalai Lama that is chosen by the institution. Can you just provide some context on this strained, intense relationship between the Tibetan Buddhists and the Chinese Communist Party, of course, after years of living in exile for so many of the Tibetan Buddhist group?
China is led by the Han ethnic. Even if the China, on surface, China's government said they can admit many the minority ethnics in the, China, but the reality is they try to expand the influence of the Han ethnic. So that's why most of the population in China now is Han, not Tibetan, not Uyghur, not others. So their influence is very minor, very small. That's why, indeed, this needs Han China's occupation to the Tibet. So, view from Tibet, this is not a good situation because they have their identity as a Tibetan religion or as ethnic also. They have their culture. So then the land is also the part of their culture. So that's why China claims Tibet as a part of China is invasion. So view from this, how to respect, how to coexist this is a very important matter. But in the case of Chinese government, China did not respect the culture of the Tibetan, identity of the Tibetan. That's why this is a very big problem. And that's why India's stance or the Tibetan exile government stance is right, I think.
Yes, Dr. Nagao, you will be staying with us as we move over now to Mexico, where the